Hey, Genesee Valley, sports reporter Chris Graham here with sports reporter Chad Eaton for another edition of the Sunday Sports Show. Another good week of football here in Livingston County, Section 5. We started off with a pretty big game between Calmum and Perry. Both teams were coming into the game 4-1. Real defensive battle through the first half to the tune of 6-6. But the second half, 22-6 in favor of Perry. Calmum's coach, John Walther, said they made too many mistakes, and when you see a quarter like that, you kind of get what he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, Calmum has some really powerful backs. Curtis Howell, Mike Nevinger, I mean, they're both quick and really powerful backs, but I mean, Perry just came to play that night.
Yeah, Perry's attack was paced by Corey Dillon, who had 3 total touchdowns. Perry now moves to 5-1 on the season, but I think the bigger story coming out of this game is Calmum now with consecutive losses.
I mean, they're going to have to step up their game a little bit. I mean, sectionals are coming up, and I mean, they really need to start improving.
Yeah, next Friday they'll play at Leroy, and that was another point that their coach made, a real do-or-die week for them. Basically is going to be the tipping point as to whether they go to sectionals or not. So for Calmum, the losing streak needs to stop after this game if they want to have any chance of getting to sectionals. York, Bolivar, Richburg also this past Friday, and York, they didn't really have any trouble with Bolivar Richburg.
No, not at all. 42-0 York beat Bolivar. Tyler Schutz, I mean, he's an amazing athlete. He's throwing for over 150 yards a game, 3 touchdowns. He just has so many weapons, a lot of receivers. Nick Curry, Neil Kraft, Thomas Gates, Patrick DeShaw. They can really be interchanged a lot. He threw for 3 touchdowns, and they were all different receivers. There's just so many weapons there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lethal offense that we've talked about more than a few times on this show. Schutz just as clearly one of the best quarterbacks in the area. But I think the question coming into the season for York wasn't the offense, but rather the defense, which we saw struggle a little bit in the early going of the season, but now have really come into form.
Yeah, their defense, they lost a lot of players last year. Last week they played Letchworth, held them to 6. This week Bolivar, scoreless. I mean, their coaching staff is really doing a lot of work. They're scouting. They're coming up with different schemes each week to week. I mean, they're really doing their homework over there.
Yeah, and we look at a team now that's 4-2, getting moving on towards sectionals, and a complete team on paper now. Offense is clicking, defense is clicking, and that's what you want to have. You want to have that happening all season, but you definitely want to have it happening when you're kind of closing in on the season's finish.
Yeah, sectionals approaching. I mean, they're seeded 3rd right now, looking to take on maybe Notre Dame or Clyde Savannah. But first they got to get through Geneseo this coming week.
Yeah, Geneseo also played this past Friday, dealt with Letchworth. Ended up losing 34-0, which was kind of disheartening to see after playing a really close competitive game with Cuba Rushford a week ago. A back-and-forth contest that they were really into. Good offense, good defense from them, just came up a little bit short. But this, I think, is another game that showed they're still very young. They're still going to make some mistakes. They still got a lot of. I mean, they have a freshman now starting at quarterback. So they're still going to have the growing pains. Just a little disappointing that they couldn't keep that momentum going from last week.
Yeah, I mean, they're young. They're going to grow. Next couple of years, they're going to be a force to deal with. I mean, they're going to be good.
Yeah, and as we said, they'll play York. Geneseo now sitting at 0-6, and Avon played Warsaw, and Avon sitting at now sitting at 5-1. They were able to take out Warsaw.
Yep, 28-0. Avon got a win over Warsaw. I mean, TJ Craig. I mean, he's having a really great year so far. They're improved 5-1, and they're going to take on Bishop Kearney next week.
Yeah, just a couple of teams. We look at the big 3 in the area of Avon, Geneseo, and York, and certainly Avon and York. Definitely having great seasons. Geneseo. Maybe next year for them, but certainly, like we said, a growing year. But Avon, York, both playing very well, both looking to move on to sectionals, and both I think teams that we're looking at as we said, kind of complete teams.
Yeah, definitely complete teams. I mean, defense, offense. I mean, they got both.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have all that going, you're definitely going to win some games. That's all for this week's show. We hope you've enjoyed our football wrap up for this week. For Chad Eaton, I'm Chris Graham. Have a good night, Genesee Valley, and go Bills.